Hello everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you very much for joining me here today. This is your one-stop shop for cryptocurrency analysis, among other things. Now we're taking a look at Cardano, which is ADA, and we're looking at the technical charts. There's no fundamentals here essentially, so if you have some insight on what's going on, feel free to comment below, but we really just look at the technical data and understand specifically best practice and obviously try to find a good entry point for you if that's an option. Now, I'm not a financial advisor. I have years of experience, however, of course, but this is only for educational purposes, right? So always do your own research. I also have a link to my Patreon account down below if you'd like to join up with that. Also $25 in Bitcoin from Voyager, and of course a link to our Telegram community so you can stay engaged and get to know everyone else in the cryptoverse that we are slowly creating. It's a wonderful environment. Hope you enjoy if you haven't already. Now, without further ado, let's go ahead and get to the charts. Let's check it out. All right, folks, let's go ahead and take a look at ADA. This is really exciting stuff because I think a lot of us have been waiting for the price to pop off, and it's finally here. I mean, at least for now, right? We don't know what'll happen soon, but that's the point of referencing the charts here, to kind of see what the price action is looking like and to help, use the past to predict the future. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to look at Bitcoin and Ethereum first, just to set a baseline, see what's going on there, and then see how that kind of correlates with ADA, and obviously just dive deeper into the technical charts. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. So let's start with Bitcoin. Now I always use a 4-hour chart for Bitcoin and Ethereum just because they're the best moving averages, the most consistent. And just so you know, if you're not already aware, the 200-day moving average is like the most impactful moving average for Bitcoin. It works as a super strong support this entire time. We lost it. It was basically a resistance line for almost the last 3 weeks. And now it's back on track above the 50-day and the 200-day moving average. They're both working in tandem to essentially create a stronger support. So the price is hovering right around 57,200 right now, but 57,000 even is the major support and resistance line that we need to be mindful of. Okay. The reason why I say that is just because Bitcoin has a tendency of controlling the market, right? And when Bitcoin does well, everything else does better. So just bear that in mind. Always look at Bitcoin first before you make an investment, just so you know more specifically, big picture, what's going on, right? That's kind of the point. And that's why we're here too. So that is essentially the 4-hour chart for Bitcoin. 4-hour chart for Ethereum. Similarly, essentially a similar scenario as far as the last 8 hours, right? So Bitcoin has its sell-off, its major dip. Ethereum worked the same way. People pulled out, concerned about the price coming back down. And what we should likely see is people actually investing in Ethereum, because anytime Bitcoin has a dip, there's always a dip in Ethereum, but there's a stronger ramp up afterwards. So I would not be surprised if the price comes back up, consolidates for a little bit, and then just continues to progress. But that's kind of the situation here. Bear in mind the 50-day moving average is slowly creeping back up. I would venture to guess in the next week or so we might see that be tested if the price goes horizontal with Ethereum. All right, so let's move on to ADA. Now let's look at the 1-day chart first before we get started, because I always like to work my way from the top to bottom. And if we're looking at ADA here, let's go ahead and turn this guy off and just see what's going on. So just to note, with the moving averages, the 50-day moving average is working as a support. We had a large variance here, but what this variance was Bitcoin having a major sell-off, right? So that's the 17th right here, first major Bitcoin sell-off, second, and then the third where it ramped up and has kind of gone on a tear recently. So we're looking pretty good. I mean, in the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days, and today's not over yet, we're at about a 44% increase. So nice profits there. All right, so that's the 1-day chart. Let's go ahead and take a look quickly at the RSI. RSI is over 70 right now, so generally speaking, that tells us that the bulls are in charge. Momentum is progressing upwards on the MACD as well. So honestly, this is straight bull town, if you will, but just bear in mind that the RSI creeping up over 70, it could imply that there might be a potential retracement, but I don't foresee that happening based on the overall momentum shift. It does appear that the bulls are just ready to go all in with ADA right now. So this is great, because we did pass our previous resistance line of what? That was $1.56. which is excellent. And you can see it kind of shot through there. So that's likely our new support is 156. I'll mark that on a smaller time frame. All right, so looking at the 4-hour chart now, what we're looking at here, which is kind of good, is the MACD is swinging in an upward fashion here that basically tells us that the momentum is still bullish, because even though there was a retracement, price ramped right back up. RSI is just at 70 right now, so that's not a major concern. For me, it's not the best indication to take entry, just because I'm more of a conservative trader and I prefer not to take entry when things are considered overbought, because there's likely retracements that occur after that. So just be mindful that could happen here. So just pay attention to that. And then another thing to note as well is the moving averages. The 50-day moving average, with albeit the minor retracement here, is working as a pretty strong support level. So if the price does eventually level out, we should expect the RSI correction, the 50-day moving average, to continue to progress upwards. And what my hope is that the RSI does calm down a little and we just keep seeing these little higher highs, right? So I really love and appreciate when currency does like small increases and then consolidation, increase and consolidation. BNB did that a few weeks ago, where it went on it almost increased by 100%, but it was so subtle that it just did like a 5 to 10% increase every day for a full week. So that is awesome. I like it when I see that. This hopefully doesn't just continue to ramp up and it kind of goes comfortably up, if that makes sense. Just consistent higher highs without really super strong increases, that limits the potential for retracement, right? I hope you understand what I mean by that, because that's a really awesome thing to notice when you have bull runs going into place. Ethereum Classic did the same thing recently too, where yes, it jumped up eventually really hard near the end, but for the first few days it slowly creeped up and it caught people by surprise. And that's when you want to try to catch a bull run, catch it early and start investing, and then find a good time to get out. Now I feel like ADA is more of a long-term investment personally. I think it's a really good big picture. They got awesome fundamentals, which you should reference in your own time, but that would likely be what's leading this to finally eventually pop off the way that it is. Either way, 15 minutes chart. Let's go ahead and take a look at this here. And 15-minute chart is my favorite as far as considering taking entry and understanding just the overall sentiment of what's going on, because all the indicators, in my opinion, that matter the most, like the volume weighted average price and the RSI, they tend to work very well together if you understand how to look at them. So hopefully help educate you on that if you don't already know that. But just looking at here, as you can see, the difference in price and the volume weighted average price is significantly high. So this is kind of a cause for concern to me as far as this. This would tell me that's not a good time to take entry right now, because what that is it's about an 8% difference. In other words, the difference in the volume weighted average price and the top price is 8%. So when you see a percent that high, there's usually some type of retracement that can occur afterwards, which would explain why we see this red bar here forming. Now what I mean by the difference between those two is, first of all, the volume weighted average price is a 24-hour volume, essentially. It's a price average based on the amount of volume over the past 24 hours. So this blue line here is essentially what the price should be right now, right, according to the volume of the last 24 hours. So we look at it, it's $1.69 is what the price should be at, and the price is always all the way up to $1.83. So it's no surprise that the price is peaked out there so far, and it's possibly considering coming down. I wouldn't be surprised to come all the way down to meet the VWAP eventually and bounce off to kind of reaffirm its bullish momentum. So that being said, if we look at that and then combine that with the RSI is almost at 70. So this is actually a good sign. This means we probably won't see a super large retracement, but just bear in mind, when you see a big difference between the volume weighted average price and the RSI, then it's usually cause for concern and a good moment to try to trim and get some profit off the top. Because same exact thing happens here. Like if you look back here, for example, you see the RSI come up over 70, and look at the difference here between the RSI correction, the price action, and the volume weighted average price. It's a very similar percent. In other words, the price action moved up too fast, too quickly, and then just happens to have to fall back down, right? So, what goes up must come down. That's essentially the concept here. So just bear that in mind. When you see an RSI over 70, it doesn't mean you have to sell, doesn't mean you have to get worried. It just means that you should be aware of the fact that there could be a shift in momentum, either temporarily or significantly. When the bulls are in control, it's going to be a temporary retracement, which we saw here. For example, this was temporary, came down, consolidated a little further, another sell-off, and then it ramped back up because it was considered oversold at that time. Right? That's how you know the bulls are in control, because the RSI wasn't down under 30. Either way, if I were to consider taking entry in this climate, I would, of course, wait for confirmation. And what we should do first is go ahead and mark some support and resistance levels so we know what we're working with. Because I think this was the recent all-time high, right? Yeah. So it was 174, 170, almost 175. So go ahead and mark that guy there. So this could very well be the new support. So let's be mindful of that, because if the price does come down, it could test that as a support level. And let's see if we got any other support. So we got that. Kind of blew right through that, didn't it? Yeah, we'll just stick with this here for now. So what I recommend doing, first of all, in this climate, if I were to take entry, I'd wait for two things to happen before I do. I wouldn't add to my position right now, because I feel like it's too much. In other words, if you see this red candlestick forming, and the fact that the RSI is getting closer to 70, in addition to the fact that the volume weighted average price difference is almost 8%, that tells me that the retracement could likely continue. Okay, so maybe in conservative, I would wait. I know a lot of riskier traders would probably contradict me in saying that I'm being lame and I'm being weak by not taking entry right now, and that I need to FOMO in. But no, I don't believe in that. I believe in being a smart trader and being careful and not buying into the hype, if that makes sense. So if I were to do this, I would wait for the price to come down and to test this support level of $1.74. And what I mean by test is I would wait for it to test it. In other words, see if it breaks below. If it breaks below, of course, it might become the new resistance line, but you have to wait for confirmation. And what that means is waiting, in my opinion, 15 minutes to 30 minutes to wait and see if you have two solid green bars. In other words, we see two solid green bars form above this support level, then we'll be in pretty good shape to be able to essentially consider taking entry. Okay, so that's kind of the goal that I have. I like to wait to get confirmation, no less than 30 minutes, and to ensure the RSI is not over 70. RSI is calming down, so it probably won't be over 70. So the price bounces off here and comes back up, then I would consider taking entry, probably only a 20 to 30% position. Again, that's just kind of how I do things. You don't have to, you can add whatever position you'd like, but if nothing else, always wait for confirmation. Try to ensure that you see two solid green bars closing above whatever support level that you are working with. So in this case, 174, if we saw two solid green bars, it'd be a consideration to take entry and to see how high it goes. If it breaks this support level and that becomes a resistance, that'd be one thing to be aware of, that it would likely be a resistance. But furthermore, we'd set our second target at the volume weighted average price, because again, this is going to be moving up and the price is going to be perhaps moving down. So if the VWAP align, if all goes well perfectly, then the VWAP and the support level will intersect when the price comes down. But if it doesn't, and just say it passes that support level, use the VWAP as a support level and wait for the same confirmation, 30 minutes or more. That's what I do, and it keeps me safe, keeps me successful, and I have way more green days than red days based on this sentiment alone. All right, so hopefully you found that beneficial. Obviously, if you do like and subscribe, really appreciate that. If you're a return viewer, thank you so much for your patronage and being awesome. Speaking of patronage, I am working on some training so that way we can help educate you on beginner, intermediate, and advanced techniques as day trader and short-term swing traders. Okay. So I'm going to include that in my Patreon account eventually, so appreciate you joining up there. But more importantly, I hope you are safe and successful. Make sure you have a great rest of your day, and good luck out there. We'll see you in the next video. You take care.